Welcome to Lotus Tai Chi. Okay, so we're going to go through the Lotus form step by step. So this video is really for people who want to learn the form step by step. If you want to go through the whole form, you're already very familiar with it. I've got another video which I can put a link to, and you can watch that. If you want to try and learn it so you can do it by yourself, this is the video for you. Okay, so we start feet close together, hands down by sides, nice upright stance, suspended by the crown, and we sink our weight into our right leg, step out to left, out to shoulder width, feel the rhythm of your breath, with the breath in, drawing up to commence, with the breath out, sinking, letting the knees bend, coming down to a position where the hands are at waist height, palms down, and then we turn them palms up. Okay, so we'll just do that little piece again. Do that a couple of times, and then you can, try and do that without me, and pause the video whenever you need to. Okay. So again, first thing is sinking the weight into the right leg, stepping out to the left, out to shoulder width. Nice slow breath in to draw up to commence. Nice slow breath out, sinking down, knees bending, turning the palms up at waist height. Okay, same again, one more time together. Next one I'll just talk and you can do it without me. And if you need to, just pause the video or rewind it and do it again, okay? Okay, so again, we're going to sink our weight into our right leg, step out to left, out to shoulder width, feeling the rhythm of the breath. Nice slow breath in to commence. Nice slow breath out to sink. Make sure the knees are bending, palms up at waist height. Okay, so this time you can do that without me. I'll just talk, but I won't do. Okay, so you're in your nice upright stance, sinking your weight into your right leg, step out to the left, out to shoulder width, feel the rhythm of your breath. With the breath in, commencing move, arms coming up, allowing the wrists to bend a little bit. With the breath out, knees bending, hands sink down to waist height. Once they're at waist height, turning the palms up into this sort of position. Okay, now have a try of that. Pause the video, try and do that without any cue from me, unless you need to do that again. Okay, so we'll just go one more time together. Okay, we sink the weight, we step out, we feel the rhythm of the breath, we draw up to commence, breathe out to sink, and palms up. Okay, next little section of the form, we're going to massage with the blades of the hands here. So trying to get this point here to massage below the ribs. Then we point our fingers to the back, and we're going to get this point here between the thumb and forefinger, which we call the Hergu point, to massage over our kidney points. Our kidneys are just in here at the base of the ribs, either side of our spine. So we're going to massage with the blade of the hand, and then in like that. Now if you can't get in there, just get as close as you can, but really trying to get that point to line up with the kidney points, which are right just either side of the spine, just below your ribs. Okay, and then we stretch out, and then back to center. Okay, so same again, from the point where we've sunk our hands down, our knees are bent. Remember here, we keep the knees bent for this section. Palms up, massage below the ribs, fingers point to the back, massaging with our Hergu point over the kidney points, stretch out, again still bent in the legs, and then still bent in the legs, back to center. Okay, so again I'll get you to start from this point where your hands are up here. This time you can do that without me. Breath out, you sink down, the knees bent. When your hands are at waist height, turn the palms up, draw them in to massage with the blades of your hands below your ribs, point the fingers to the back, using this Hergu point to massage over the kidney points, stretch out to the sides, opening nice and wide, and then close in to the chest. And make sure that while you're doing that, the legs are still bent. Make sure you didn't pop back up doing that. So again, if you want to pause the video, have a go at that without me. If you're not confident to do that, we'll just go through it one more time. But doing it by yourself is really key for actually trying to remember it. Okay, if you just follow me, unless you're a genius, you won't be able to remember to do it by yourself. Okay, so we'll do that from the beginning together. Okay, so we've got feet pretty close together, and we're sinking the weight, stepping out. Nice slow breath in to draw up. Nice slow breath out to sink down. Knees bending, we leave them bent. Palms up, we massage below the ribs, over the kidneys, stretching out, and then compressing into centre. Okay, our next bit of the form, from there we call the turtle swims through the water, or just swimming through the water. We take a breath in as we rise and swim through the water, a breath out as we sink down and cross the wrists. Okay, so we'll just do that again. So from this bit where we've come back into the centre, we're in that sunk down position, we breathe in to rise and swim through the water, we breathe out to sink and cross the wrists to make our rabbit ears. Okay, so one more time again from that sunk down position, breathing in to swim through the water, rising, breathing out, sinking, crossing the wrists. Okay, so again, from there, this time you're going to go without me. You're going to breathe in to rise and swim through the water. Breathe out to relax down and cross the wrists with the knees bent again. Okay, so again, pause the video if you're confident. Have a go at that without me. Try and string it together from the beginning of the form up to there. Okay, and then we'll do it again together. Okay, so we're going to sink our weight. We step out. Breathe in to draw up, breathe out to sink down, knees bent, leaving them bent, massaging under the kidneys, over the kidney points, stretching out, and then compressing into the centre. Breath in to rise and swim through the water, breath out to sink, crossing the wrists, making our rabbit ears. Then we want to do our next move, and again we stay with the knees bent for this one, okay? Our rabbit ears, keeping the fingers pointed down to the ground so the back of the wrist gets a stretch, then fingers pointed up, and again we want to try and get a bit of a stretch on the inside of the wrist as we dig down into the earth, and then little stretch on the side of the wrist as we lift and separate, and then as the hands come down we come up, and here we want to pull our shoulders back a little and pull our fingers back. So if you look at me from side on, if I pull my shoulders back and I pull the fingers back, there's a stretch from the middle of my chest through here all the way down here to the fingertips. Okay? So we want to get that so that then when we relax it, it'll start going into the next move. Also, just for the health benefit, if I just here, it's not really doing this opening of the chest and activating the back muscles that it's designed to do. Okay? So let's just do that little bit again. From the crossed over wrists, we're sunk down, we stay sunk down in the legs, we draw up, fingers stay a little bit pointed down, then they point up, stretch the inside of the hand and the forearm as we come down, wrist bend a little sideways as we separate, then legs come up, shoulders back, fingers stretch back, feel a stretch from the centre of the chest, the tips of the fingers, and then you're ready to release into the next little section. Okay, so this time I'll get you going from crossing the wrists over, and this time you can do that without me, okay? So with your breath in, you're going to draw the hands up, your rabbit ears up, and then you're going to press them down, then you're going to lift them and separate out to shoulder width, and as you let the hands sink down, you're going to come back up a little bit, and you're going to stretch your shoulders and hands back, okay? So we'll put that all together from the beginning up to that point. Again, nice upright stance, sinking the weight, stepping out to shoulder width, feeling the rhythm of the breath, nice slow breath in to draw up, nice slow breath out to sink down to waist height. Knees are now bent, we leave them bent. We massage below the ribs, fingers to the back, Hergu points over the kidney points, stretch out, hands turn into the palm down position, compress into the chest, breath in to rise and swim through the water, breath out to sink, crossing the wrists over, leaving the knees bent. We bring our rabbit ears up, backs of the wrists are a little bent and stretched, inside of the wrist a little stretched, then sides of the wrist stretched. Legs straighten as the arms come down, shoulders stretch back, fingers stretch back into our next section, sinking down into legs to scoop up the water from the well, Then we spread the water across the fields to water our young lotus buds. Coming up through the legs, lotus buds grow. We form soft fists. Rains come down. And then palms up, lotus flower opens its face to the sun. Coming up on the balls of the feet if you're comfortable. And then breath out to sink down. Okay, so from our rabbit has done its dig down into the earth, and we've lifted and separated. Again, legs straighten a little, legs bend, scooping up water from the well. What do we do with it? We spread it across the fields to water our young lotus buds. What happens to plants when you water them? They grow. We come up, then we make our soft fists like rain clouds. Rains come down here. Again, often I see people leave their arms out in front like this. As we come down, we want to pull the elbows and shoulders back. So there's a feeling of open and stretch here. And like not reefing them as far as they'll go, but a clear feeling of a little bit of stretch there, okay? So we're coming down, and then palms up, fingers pointing into your head. So just check, have a look. Is your palm up? Not quite, okay? And then lotus flower opens its face to the sun, up on the balls of the feet, opening out nice and wide. Breath out to sink. Okay, so this time I'll just talk you through that little bit. And again, if you're not comfortable doing it with me just talking, you need to watch this section again. If you are, you're ready to sort of go on to the next bit, okay? So again, if you start with the hands down here, you've stretched your shoulders and fingers back. You release that stretch to scoop up the water from the well up to chest height. Then with the palms up, you spread the water across the fields, opening nice and wide to water the young lotus plants. Then coming up, the lotus buds grow, and once your hands are up high, the arms are fairly straight up, form soft fists, rains come down to shoulder height, remembering to pull the elbows and shoulders back a little. Then turn the palms up, have a little check to look at that palm up in this sort of position, and then breath in up on the balls of your feet, lotus flower opens its face to the sun, and then breath out to sink. Okay, so we'll put that all together from the beginning up to there. So again, feet together and sinking the weight into the right leg. Step out to left, out to shoulder width. With the breath in, drawing up to commence. With the breath out, sinking. Leaving the knees bent for the next few moves. Palms up to massage below the ribs. Over the kidney points. Stretching out. Closing in. Breath in, rising from the feet up through the body out to the fingers. Breath out to sink, crossing the wrists, leaving the fingers a little bit pointed down to stretch the back of the wrist. Then fingers a little pointed up to stretch the inside of the wrist. Then little sideways bend, and then breath out, sinking them down, shoulders back, fingers back for a little stretch, knees bend. We scoop the water up well, spread it across the fields. And then again, rising from the feet, lotus buds grow, forming soft fists, rains come down, pulling the elbows back a little bit, palms up, breath in, up on the balls of the feet, lotus flower opens its face to the sun, and back to centre. Okay, our next little section, once we've done our lotus flower opening, is our 4 presses, okay? And it's useful to think of these 4 presses as 4 presses, you know, as a unit of 4 moves, okay? Because if you think I've got 4 presses to do, even if you can't remember what comes next, you're halfway there already, okay? So the first one, when we've sunk down, we stay sunk down, our right hand circles up, our left hand is pressing down. So it's like it's squashing a beach ball here, and we turn the body. And when we turn, if we then relax, the body comes back to centre. We bring our left hand up, right one down, and we turn the body. And then we come back to centre, cup the hands. Okay, so we'll just do that again from our lotus flower opening. Breath in as we come up and open, breath out as we sink. Bring that right hand up, left one pressing down, turning the body, watching where you press. Relaxing back to centre, pressing that right one down, pressing to the west, okay? So same again, we'll go one more time. From our lotus flower opening its face to the sun, up on the balls of the feet, sinking down. And this right hand, we want it to continue, so rather than it sort of stopping, it wants to keep going and this left one is kind of coming in a bit and then pressing down, okay? So it feels like neither of them really stop. It feels like the move flows. Okay? So again, if I get you to this position, up on the balls of the feet, lotus flower opens its face to the sun. I'm going to stop, but you're going to keep going. You'll bring your right hand up to chest height, your left one pressing down on a ball, and you're going to turn and press with that right hand out to this side. Then you're going to relax back to centre, bring left hand up, press down with the right one, and press out to this side, so you'll finish in this position. Okay? One more time together, and then have a go without me, okay? So from our lotus flower opening its face to the sun, trying to keep this right hand moving the whole time, turning to press into the wind first to the east, then over to the west, then back to centre, cup hands together. Okay? Try that without me, okay? And again, we'll just do the next two presses and then we'll go from the beginning of the form again. The next two presses are up and down. And seeing as our first one was east and west, it can be helpful to think of up as north and down as south if that helps you, okay? So the upward press or press to the heavens, just to about collarbone height, and then press the earth. As we bend, we want to bend at the hips here. We want to make sure we're not bending in the middle of our back like this. So try and imagine here that someone's pressing on your clavicle, pushing it up as you bend, so that your spine stays pretty straight. Only bend as far as comfortable, and then once you've bent as far as comfortable, then you bend your knees, okay? So after our second press, our press to the west, we come back to the centre, we lift to the heavens, and then palms down, we press to the earth, bending at the hips again, imagining this point is being pushed up. And once you've bent as far as comfortable, which will vary, some people's hands might touch the ground here, you then bend your knees and you stretch out to the front, come up, open up, and relax down. Okay? So let's put that together from the lotus flower opening, just to give us that bit of context again. So we've got our breath in, we open, our breath out, leave the knees a bit bent, right hand comes up, left one is pressing down, we turn to press into the wind to the east, then to the west, back to centre, cup the hands, straightening the legs, a little lift to the heavens, press to the earth, spine straight, legs are straight for the first bit, and then knees bend, hands come out to the front. So here there's this sort of out and up, backing towards you a little bit, open up and sink down, okay? So again, I'll talk but not do this time. So again, if we go from here, I'll do this first bit with you. We come up here, we sink down, the right hand is going to come up, left one is pressing the ball down, we're turning to press into the wind to this side, then we relax back to centre, we bring the left hand up, we turn and press into the wind over to this side, then back to centre, cup the hands, lift to the heavens just to about collarbone height, and then with the breath out, bending at the hip as far as comfortable, press to the earth. Once you've bent as far as comfortable, bend the knees, and then arms stretch out to the front, come up, open up, and relax down. Okay, so we'll put that together from the beginning of the form as well, and we're getting most of the way through, okay? So again, we've got that nice comfortable stance, sinking the weight into the right leg, step out to the left, out for shoulder width, breathing in to commence, making sure the wrists have this bit of bend in them, then fingers up a little bit, so there's a little stretch down the inside of the hand, palm up to massage below the ribs, fingers to the back, massage over the kidneys, stretching out, compressing in. Breath in to rise and swim through the water, light and expanded. Breath out, heavy and sinking. Leave the knees bent, wrists bend as we come up, fingers point up, wrists bend the other way as we dig down into the earth, wrists bend a little sideways as we separate, stretch shoulders and fingers back, breath out, sink down into the knees. We stay sunk into the knees as we spread the water across the fields. And then breath in, rising and light, lotus buds grow, forming soft fists, Reins come down to shoulder height. Shoulders and elbows back a little, palms up. Lotus flower opens its face to the sun. Breath out to sink. Right hand circles up, left one pressing down. Pressing into wind first to the east, then over to the west. Back to centre. Our third push is towards the heavens or to the north. Our fourth push is towards the earth or the south. Then we bend the knees, come up, open up nice and wide. Relax down, ready for our white crane to spread its wings. We bring our right arm out in front. Our left one comes up inside, and then we open up, breathing in and rising a little bit, shoulders and elbows back to open the chest, close the back. Breath out, sinking into the legs, closing the chest, rounding the back slightly. Breath in, rising, chest open, back a little closed. And then we sink back to centre for our rabbit ears again. Okay, so just doing that little transition from the last push or press. Bend the knees and we come up. We open up nice and wide and then we close in. Okay, and we're going to bring our right hand up a little bit to about the bottom of the ribs. Left hand comes up inside of the bottom, hand always comes up inside the top one. Elbows back a little bit. Breath out, sinking down a little. Breath in, rising a little bit. Breath out, sinking, crossing the wrists. Okay, so one more time through that together, and then again you can have a go with me just talking. Okay, so from our last press, bend the knees, arms come up, open out nice and wide, crossing over, and we're going to bring that right hand up, left one comes up inside, open up. Breath out, sink and close. Breath in, open up again. Breath out, sink, back to wrists crossed. Okay, so if you go from, again, this last press, and you bend the knees, you come up, and then you're going to do this next bit without me. You're going to open nice and wide. As the arms drop down, they're going to come back to centre. Right one comes in front first, left one comes up inside that. That left one is going to come up past your face and out to the side, the right one down to the side, so you finish in that sort of position. Then you're going to bring them back through the centre, this time right one coming up past your face, left one coming down, and then with your breath out from that position, back to the rabbit. And then our next section with the rabbit is exactly the same as the section earlier in the form, okay? So our rabbit digs down into the earth, lifts and separates with this little bit of a side bend of the wrist, and then relaxes down, stretches back and scoops up. But here, instead of scooping up the water from the well, we're scooping up the sunrise, and then we put our hands on top of the sun, and here our legs straighten as we press down. Okay, and that's pretty much the end of the form. Goes into the closing move. Sage strokes his beard 3 times. Okay, so if we go from, let's just do from the presses to the end of the form. So from our lotus flower opening up, its face to the sun, right hand coming up, left one pressing down, returning to press into the wind, turning to the other side to press into the wind, back to centre, lifting to the heavens, pressing to the earth, bending at the hips as far as comfortable, keeping this clavicle up, bending the knees, opening up nice and wide, ready for white crane to spread its wings. We're going to bring the right hand in front, left one comes up inside it, open up, rising, light, a little bit stretched, sinking, heavy, little bit closed. Rising, light, little bit stretched, heavy, back to the rabbit ears. Our rabbit digs down into the earth, lifts and separates, legs straighten, fingers stretch back, and here, like we're lifting the sun and it's heavy, so our knees bend, and then we're pushing down on the sun, so that pushes us up again. And our closing move, Sage strokes his beard 3 times to finish off. with the last one stepping back to centre, hands to dantian. Okay, well done for sticking with that. We'll go through the whole thing one more time just to finish this off. And if you go through this video, you might need to do it 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. It varies a lot with different people. But again, always try and get one section at a time and do a little bit where you're watching me, a little bit where you're just listening to me, even if that means just turning your back to the camera so you're not watching, and then a little bit with no cue at all, just drawing it out of your own memory, and that will help get it into your memory, okay? So again, last one, feet close together, sinking the weight into the right leg, stepping out to the left, breath in to draw up to commence, breath out to sink down. Knees are now bent. We leave them bent, massaging below the ribs, over the kidneys. Knees still bent as we stretch out, and knees still bent as we come back to centre. Breath in, legs start the upward and outward movement. Breath out, sinking, crossing the wrists to form our rabbit ears, letting the wrist bend as we rise up, fingers come up, stretching the inside of the wrist, stretching the side of the wrist. As the hands come down, legs are straightened, stretch shoulders and fingers back, release the stretch, sink into the legs, scoop the water up from the well, spread it across the fields, and then coming up through the legs, lotus buds grow, forming soft fist reins, come down, pulling those elbows back a little bit, palms up, lotus flower opens its face to the sun, nice and wide, breath out to sink, right hand coming up to chest height, left one pressing down, turning to press into the wind, first to the east, then over to the west, back to centre, cupping hands together, lift to the heavens to about collarbone height, press to the earth, keeping the spine straight, then bending knees, stretch out to the front, palms a little bit towards me, open up, nice and wide, breath out to sink and close, white crane spread its wings, breath in, light, rising, stretching, breath out, closing, heavy, sinking, breath in, light, rising, stretching, breath out, sinking into the knees again, leave them bent as you dig down into the earth, lift and separate, legs straighten, and then our hands are under the sun so our knees bend. Then our hands are on top of the sun so our legs straighten as we push ourselves back up. Sage strokes his beard 3 times, gathering the mind and energy back to centre. Step into centre, right hand onto dantian for women, just below the belly button. My belly button's here, and other hand on top. Close your eyes if you're comfortable with them closed. Feel the rhythm of your breathing. Breathing right down into the belly. Trying to feel like there's a ball filling up in the belly with each breath in. The ball shrinking and compressing with each breath out. Putting a smile on your face again. Feel your whole body respond positively to that smile. Breathe the feeling of it in, and allow that feeling to compress and store in that little ball right in the centre of your belly with each out breath. When you're ready, relax hands down. Little bit of a shake out through the shoulders, through the back, through the legs, through the wrists. Thanks very much everyone, I hope you've enjoyed that, and yeah, I'll have some new stuff for you very soon. Okay, thanks very much.